because I genuinely believe that Jordan Hall is the right man for the role of chair, and to share with you why I believe this to be the case. Ultimately, as a member of the JCR, we want the highest calibre exec possible. The role of the chair requires one who is dedicated, and you will perhaps be surprised to learn that Jordan often forgoes sleep and leisure activities in order to produce the best work possible. It also requires one who is confident, and if you've met Jordan, you will be sure that you will know that he can be described by two words beginning with C. Confident being one, and committed the other. Commitment is clearly the key aspect of the chair's success. The chair has to be completely and utterly committed to making sure the college's standing order is abided by. There is no doubt in my mind that Jordan would be able to make sure your college standing order is okay. The chair is also a non-voting position and must remain neutral, whilst remaining a strong enough personality in order that the exec stick to the Constitution even when it is inconvenient to do so. And ultimately, Jordan is passionate about making sure that you, as members of the JCR, are granted full protection of the standing order. He will protect your rights. He will be there to make sure the exec do not abuse their positions. I know no better man than the voice of Jordan Hall. I know no better man to be the voice that makes sure you and the college are not exploited than Jordan Hall. Jordan is also really organised. With him in charge of collecting manifestos and liaising with the candidates for various positions within the college, you can guarantee it works smoothly. It is important that the chair understands that a deadline is a deadline, regardless of whether the person submitting the application is a friend or otherwise. You can trust in Jordan to effectively manage the very process by which our college works. Finally, can I remind you that the chair needs to be an approachable person. I don't need to tell you just how approachable and available for conversation Jordan is. I hope that was relatively short and not too painful. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, I'm here to propose Luke Satterthwaite. Now I think the role of chair is actually a bit paradoxical. You need someone who is funny, outgoing, approachable to deal with the kind of JCR meeting side, but you need someone who's serious, meticulous, and considered to deal with the standing order in the executive role. And I actually think that Luke Satterthwaite fills all these roles. First I'm going to talk about his experience in the more serious side. He's an archaeology student, which means you've got to be very meticulous. It also means he has no hours whatsoever, so he'll be able to really go through the standing orders rather than spending his time in clues. He's also the head boy in his old school. He actually chaired the school council, so that means he'll be able to deal within a kind of exec situation. He's a DSU rep. He's looked at the standing orders from their side, and he's also been in an area of greater forum of information flashing across, and so he'll be able to deal with your views. He's also a drama. He had one of the lead roles in the Freshers play, so he's confident, and he's very, very, very professional on stage. He was out pretty much all through the second act and never once did his performance slip. And his personality, I think he's quite reserved and considered person. He would always, in conversations, come in with a well-considered comment or one-liner. Now, the light-hearted side, I previously mentioned drama. Like I said, in the Freshers play, I've worked with him, and he was absolutely hilarious. He kept spirits. I don't know if any of you have heard about the tech rehearsals. They're horrific. You go in with 14, and you basically keep going until you stop. It was around 2:30. Our director comes out and says, we're going to have that one last run through of King and Country, and as we were all depressed walking to the stage, Luke had us in hysterics again, keeping everyone's spirits up, even up in the morning. And when you see him at lunchtime, he often has his friends in hysterics. He's very dedicated to Hatfield College. Like I said, the DSU rep, he's tea and toast. He's actually joint social servant at tea and toast. He attends lots of events, Lion and Winter, he's going to be attending. He also helps Hatfield drama. He was in the Alice in Wonderland and he was Tweedledee or so it's fair to say, I think it's fair to say that he's sporting. That might be a problem for some people, but he does get involved. He gets involved in ultimate frisbee, gets involved in badminton, and if he isn't playing, he's supporting. He was there to see the women's win the Novice Cup. I think you should consider him because he's committed. He's got a great style of consolidation of entities work, and he will continue to evolve the standing orders in his own style. Thank you very much.
To put in a motion is, as Jordan said, it's just 4 days before afternoon, and it's 2 or more ordinary members. And as Jordan said, it can be anything you want. So anything you want to change in your JCR, that can be put forward as a motion. So as Jordan said, rightly said, it's all about no confidence or voting and changing of the standing orders. It's just anything you want to change in your JCR. That's what a motion can be for.
Second question. What do you think the proper course of action should be for dealing with late manifestos? Questions that are linked to those things.
I think, like anything has been, you've got to be able. So I think that means once someone got new funds, the manifesto is not allowed anymore, and if it's more than 250 words, you've got to cut it off, because I think you just need to have that consistency, but that consistency creates more effective and efficient JCR. So yeah, just be as aimed.
Submitting manifestos is all about fairness. It's all about fairness is not opportunity for all of the ordinary members of the JCR. So I agree entirely with you. 12 o'clock is 12 o'clock. A second later, the first strike of those ballots, no applications will be accepted. That's it.
My question, Chair, is completely impartial. How do you believe Chair can contribute to the exec without impinging on the washout?
I think the Chair can contribute to the exec, mainly by being a bridge for ordinary members to their exec. So if it's not an issue of welfare, I'd like to see the Chair be in a position that ordinary members go to if they have a query concerning the Constitution, I should say. And I also think that the Chair can also get involved in sort of other things, for example, tea and toast. It can get involved in just the general non-exec side of Hatfield College. So, for example, sports and societies. I just think that the Chair needs to be there as a position to keep the exec in check.
I think JCR should be a general dog's body capacity. So that means supporting all the exec members, whether it be senior man or any of the other positions. So it could be helping with the PA system, or it could be helping with tea and toast, as Jordan said. But then also, in the Constitution, it does say that the JCR chair should be a position that deals with all issues other than welfare. So, as Jordan said, I think we need to have that bridge, and the JCR chair to be there to support JCR work.
Are there any questions from the floor? Any questions for exec members? Simon?
If a member of the college officers were to try to influence our standing orders or our practices, how would you respond?
To Luke first, please.
I think it's all about cooperation and negotiation. I mean, they're not ordinary members, but I think we can still take their ideas on board and what they wish to say about our standing orders, but I think ultimately it is our JCR members that have the final decision on what goes in our standing orders and how that JCR is.
Simply, I have no time for people to put undue influence on others. It's effectively canvassing. I think if you've got an issue that you believe should be raised, it should be raised in the general meeting so that the whole of the JCR can see what your opinions are and you vote on it. I don't think that people should go behind the scenes and try to influence things in a very Machiavellian style.
Are there any questions from the floor? Any questions from exec members? Jack Hickson.
Part of the chair's job is to run JCR meetings. How would you look to increase attendance?
Question for Jordan, please.
I would be looking to provide popular in the past activities such as behaviour unbecoming. Behaviour unbecoming is when ordinary members of the JCR get to basically go up the front and tell a story about their friend. It could even be about me. Behaviour unbecoming, so it could be doing something silly on a night out. It could be doing something silly in a rugby match. And I just believe if you increase the social side of general meetings as well as the serious voting and just general reporting side of meetings, you'll get a greater attendance. Equally, I'd be looking to work with the DSU, not the DSU rep, the Livers Out rep, in order that Livers Out would come to meetings more. Because I think actually there's a significant decline from freshers to second years in terms of who attends meetings. So at the moment, all of the general meetings are happening in at least 2 places around college, one of which must be accessible to Livers Out. So for example, the bar. I would be looking to increase that so that Livers Out have more awareness of when meetings are. Yeah, thank you.
I think to increase attendance in JCR meetings, really, there's 2 ideas basically. There's the simple idea of social media, so Facebook, Twitter, just publicising it more. But then there's also perhaps incentivisation, whether it be perhaps deals in the bar, like a 2-for-1 deal, or maybe Domino's pizza or something, but just something to get the JCR meeting together, because I think JCR meeting is one of the key areas around college where we can just come together as a unit, where we can might not be a big.
What do you feel you should do if you thought an example was not fulfilling their role properly?
I think we just need to talk to them using the Constitution, and if they continue doing the same practice wrong, I think then you have to speak with other exec members and then decide the best course of action as a team.
As Luke said, the role of the chair is to uphold the JCR Constitution and standing order. So if any exec member, regardless of whether they're a close friend or merely an acquaintance, was to abuse their position and go against the standing order, I would treat that as a very serious issue. Ultimately, it's the JCR as a whole that's losing out. That's you and me from each of us. And so I think it's really, really important actually that matters like that dealt with. And so if they did constantly repeat it after being warned with, like Luke said, referring to the Constitution, I'd be looking to take it up with probably the senior man and any other authority. Actually, I'd be looking to do it away with the Constitution, which is you make a complaint against the person, a grievance first. That doesn't get resolved. You just take it the process of the Constitution. Thank you very much.
What intentions, if any, do you have around finding the role of the chair?
I think really the chair needs to be just more involved in the ordinary lives of the JCR, really, so that they're more an accessible person. So I know at the moment all exec members are required to be fraps and to be open in reps, but I also think it's important that exec members get involved in things like the Line and Winter Ball and get involved in the social side of Hatfield, the side of Hatfield that really makes this college so special. Thank you.
I think the JCR chair, it should be, it needs to be, sorry, my mind's blank. I think it just really it needs to be more showing face around the college more, and it is the first port of call, as it says in the standing orders. So that means I think it should be perhaps sit on more committees. So that way, the JCR chair can get a more wide knowledge of the college, and then it can be more readily give information when an order